pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please remain standing. Jim McLean, Deputy Director of the VA Medical Center, will give our invocation.
As we face the many difficult challenges of this time, let us take a moment to reflect on the importance joy brings to our lives. Joy is not a luxury, rather it is truly a necessity for our lives and our health. There is scientific research proving that joy boosts our immune systems, fights stress and pain, and improves our chances of living longer lives. Joy increases patience, kindness, creativity. It helps us build strong and lasting relationships. Let us strive to spread joy throughout our community. With that, I ask Mr. Fagan and all of the members of the Milwaukee Bucks organization to bring home another championship in order to foster joy throughout Wisconsin and beyond. Go Bucks!
Thank you, Jim. Everybody can be seated. I would just like to thank our sponsors whose logos appeared on the presentation before the presentation began. If you or your company are interested in becoming a Rotary sponsor and supporting our club, please be in contact with the Rotary office. Traditionally at Rotary, we'd introduce our guests individually, but due to the number of guests here, if you're a guest to our club, please stand for a moment so you can be recognized. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. We're all excited to hear from our guest today, Peter Feigin, but first we've got some club business to attend to. First of all, thank you, everybody, for getting out of bed this morning and joining us here. Our club has been around for a very long time, 108 years to be exact, and in those 108 years, we've accomplished a lot as a club. From the founding of the Better Business Bureau in 1939, Second Harvest Feeding America now is something this club really accomplished. The founding of the River Revitalization Foundation, the Rotary Centennial Arboretum, the Milwaukee Urban Stables. This club has accomplished a lot, and we were able to do that through a Tuesday lunch meeting. 108 years, 51 meetings a year. I mean, over 5,000 consecutive lunch meetings this club has had through depressions and world wars. So this is really a first for all of us. The hope is that, this is going to make Rotary accessible to more people. And, again, this is a trial. So the first Tuesday of every month, we will meet here for lunch meetings. We'll do it, 5-6 months and reassess it and see how it works for our members and for our guests. And, welcome everybody to our inaugural Rotary breakfast meeting. So thanks everybody for turning out. We do today have a new member to introduce. Please welcome Tom Gale up to the stage to introduce our newest Rotarian.
Thank you, President Todd. In the whole world, there's only a few people known by a single name. In the entertainment business, we have Cher, we have Prince, we have Madonna. In the sports world, we have Shaq, we have Kobe, we have Giannis. Here in Milwaukee at the Rotary Club, now we welcome Wally. Wally is the managing director of NAI Grey Wolf Brokerage located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He brings more than 20 years of commercial real estate experience to the firm. And while currently focusing on leasing and brokerage, he has a strong background in market analysis, site selection, project development, asset management, and construction management. Wally was born and raised in Milwaukee. He went to the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. He has a BA degree in real estate and urban design planning. Married for 36 years to Karen, 2 children, Madison and Jordan. And Madison, daughter, was recently married just 2 weeks ago, right? And he's broke now. Father, that happens. He golfs poorly, he says. He loves to spend time with the family on the water and cottage and Several times a year, he takes jet skis with a group of friends up north. He is a member of the Commercial Association of Realtors of Wisconsin, the National Association of Realtors, International Council of Shopping Centers, Lake Country Optimist Club, the River Glen Tech Church, where he is he's a variety. I've been out there to visit him. Does a variety of jobs out there. They broadcast their services, and he's a camera operator out there. Please welcome Rotary's newest member and my really good friend, Wally Sawtop.
Thank you. You know, I've known Tom for several years, and he's always spoken very highly of the membership and the mission of Rotary. I was fortunate enough to visit a few weeks ago. I got to see it myself firsthand, and I'm so very happy to be a member now of Milwaukee Rotary Club. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wally, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Milwaukee. Thank you to everybody who participated in last week's Rotarian tour at the new Granite Hills Behavioral Health Center in West Allis. Our members received an inside look at a modern mental health facility. Thanks to Jerry Stepaniak for putting together this tour and the ability to see a great new resource to our community. Stay tuned for more details for the next Rotarian tour. We will be going to Marathon Machines October 21st at 4 p.m. If you recall, Glenn Reed, the CEO of Marathon Machines, spoke to us a few weeks ago. So it'll be a great opportunity to tour their facility and learn about what goes into building one of the most innovative and most capable laundry machines on the market. So details for that will be coming out here shortly. Please welcome Barbara up to give us an update on the Afghan refugees at Fort McCoy.
Oh, gee, I'm a one-person name, too. You say my last name. Hey, come on, arrive. Good morning. I need to be quick because we all want to listen to Peter. I've listened to him at the table, and he is fascinating. And thank you, the Milwaukee Bucks, for all the work that they do, not only on the court, but within our communities. It's really pretty wonderful how they share their time and talent and their treasure. I have been involved in a number of projects for decades. I am a professional fundraiser. But I can tell you that the last 3 weeks have been some of the most rewarding weeks that I have had in all of my professional and personal career. I have been involved with the Afghan Refugee Committee, sponsored by the Rotary Club of Milwaukee. And in less than 3 weeks, we have raised, through your generosity, more than $14,000. And so how has this money been used? We are lucky to have as a member Janan Nahib, who is executive director of the Milwaukee Muslim Women's Coalition. And she has pretty much guided us through the process in terms of what kinds of things are necessary at Fort McCoy and how to get them there. And so she has made suggestions that some of this money be used for blankets, for winter coats, for boots, for gloves, for hats, etc. It's important to remember that all 12,600 refugees who are at Fort McCoy are there because they exited Afghanistan with nothing but what was on their backs. And these people were airlifted out first because they were the ones who risked everything and sacrificed everything to help the American soldiers who were in Afghanistan. We owe them. And so we've had a cadre of shoppers, which included Christine Heinrichs, Joanne Grunau, Laura Arno, who has a PhD in shopping, I might add, who have gone, and myself, who have gone out, and we've negotiated with retailers and we've negotiated with companies, etc. And we have been able to buy, for example, I was in charge of blankets, and some of our money was used to buy nearly 350 blankets that I thought would fit in my car, but they didn't. But anyway, and then we transported them down to the coalition's office, and the coalition then in turn, all of the wonderful volunteers there helped to box them up, and then rented a 26-foot truck and transported it all up to Fort McCoy. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. They will need our help for many, many weeks to come. So I encourage you to please continue to open up your wallets. If you choose to be more hands-on in your contributions, the Rotary Club of Milwaukee will have a bin that will take only new. This is very important. It cannot be gently used, which is unfortunate, but everything must be brand new and in its original packaging. This is because of COVID restrictions and sanitary conditions. Anyway, we are looking for winter coats in all sizes, mostly small and medium. We are looking for children's clothing, toddlers particularly. We do not need diapers. Those are furnished by the government. Winter boots, not dress boots, but winter boots, warm, loose-fitting soldier sweaters so that we can honor their cultural needs, mittens, and hats. I think that each and every one of us should be proud to be Rotarians and be proud of a club that puts service above self. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you to everybody who's helped serve on this committee. It has been an incredible response in a very short period of time, and I'm privy to a lot of the pictures and emails that go around, and it should make everybody in this room proud to be a Rotarian. So thank you very much to you and the rest of the team, and you guys are making a real difference in the Afghanis' lives. All right, now Jamie Reeve, Wealth Strategist at Northern Trust, will introduce our speaker.
Good morning, Rotarians, and Saj, nice to see you too. Before I introduce Peter, just want to let you know it wasn't easy to get this breakfast session going. So for anyone interested in a raffle, raise your hand, put that hand in your purse or wallet, and grab your business card. Don't worry, Barbara, if you don't have a business card, $20 bill with your name on it will work. Saj and Eric are walking around with receptacles in which you will place your card, and there's an exciting raffle at the end of today's program, which you will be eligible for. Now, to introduce our today's speaker, Peter Feigin, you're amazing. He's been with the Bucks 7 or 8 years. We obviously saw the labors of his work and the work of his impressive team come to fruition this summer with the championship trophy, which this is not a replica. This is the real deal. Get it for your social medias, your Instas, etc. But his background really was perfect, and we understand why he was chosen. In brief, he worked for Six Flags Great America, not at the ride itself, but for the organization. He worked for the New York Knicks. Then he came to the Bucks. A visionary, he helped build the Fiserv Forum. He actually went to Fiserv, not a household retail name, and convinced them to give more than a couple dollars to put their name up there. He brought social justice front and center to the community when we needed it most. So on the floor, off the floor, Peter Feigin and his team have been doing remarkable work for our city. I'm pleased to have him back here at the Rotary Club of Milwaukee. Peter Feigin, everyone.
Good morning. I'm Peter Feigin, member of the world champion Milwaukee Bucks. Goodbye. That's one deflection. The trophy's the second deflection. When Todd asked me to speak, I said, great, but I don't really want to prepare a speech. I'm happy to throw up on everybody for 10 minutes and 15 minutes and tell our story, because when you tell the story and the end is winning a championship, it's a great story. Doesn't matter. Like, hey, we won championship. And I want everybody to feel it and touch it and know it for a long time. And this club is kind of special to me. This is one of the first places I spoke 7 years ago when people asked me, what the hell does a New Yorker know about building a community and a team and a business in Milwaukee? And it was kind of like, oh, I don't know. I don't think I know anything, but I guess like we'll learn pretty quickly as we go through. But what a story, and this is kind of like tells you what can happen when you have a plan, when you have a vision, when you work your butt off, when you hire great people, when you can affect change. A little bit over 7 years ago, our owners bought the Milwaukee Bucks, which was a 50-year-old team in the NBA, only 30 of them, but was really a distressed asset. Really kind of like in all of the measurements that you measure a business or a team, really had such an opportunity to grow and take it. And boy, did I think it was the opportunity of a lifetime for myself to come and I can tell you honestly, we envision 60,000 people in the plaza at the Deer District, like winning, an NBA championship at home? Maybe not, but pretty cool it did. Pretty cool it did. And it wouldn't happen unless we had kind of the Deer District and what happened. So, this is a story of owners who really had a vision, who wanted to, go all in, win a championship on the court, win a championship off the court, which is to create a substantive business that really is about growth and kind of along the way, boy, did we learn a lot, and did we kind of understand what the opportunities were. So, it begins and ends with people. We have an unbelievable team. I mean, probably John Horst is the most unsung hero in the NBA, of a young guy who put together a puzzle of a championship team, which is just incredible. Coach Bud is, really kind of one of those leaders together, and our owners have really kind of led the way with saying, like, let's affect change. Let's kind of do this in a big way. We started with empty surface lots, around the Bradley Center, and kind of had a plan to grow it out. I think in the same path, we learned, like, in a small market like Milwaukee, a professional sports team has the ability to affect change, whether that's in the community, whether that's social justice, and we kind of keep it pretty simple as an organization. At 30,000 feet, like, we believe in equality, we believe in fairness. So kind of everything that goes through that filter kind of makes sense. We do believe we have a platform. We do believe it's a responsibility. Our owners really do believe they are caretakers of an asset of the community, which is a pro team, and a lot of responsibility comes with that in a big way. And we spend a lot of time with people we bring in to kind of work and grow and build the culture. And those people know that they have to show up, they have to engage, they have to care, they have to work their butts off, which is kind of a new thing in this day and age, where you tell people they're actually going to work hard and kind of run the business. And we've got simple goals. We don't want to be Wisconsin's team. We don't want to be Midwest team or the national team. We think we've got this opportunity to be the global team. Why wouldn't anybody love our city, love our players, love our team, what we stand for? And we are there. We are on a springboard and a platform where our games are in 215 countries, where we are winners, we are champions. We tell a great story. We represent the city in a great way. And in a crazy world we live in, why can't an NBA team be that conduit to grow our business, to grow our community, to really be kind of the badge of honor for our city of Milwaukee? And that's the way we feel about it. And it's kind of crazy. It's really exciting, and it's an unbelievable opportunity. And this is the moment. I tell everybody internally and starting to tell externally, like, if you thought it was fun getting up to this moment, now we're champions. Now it's not aspirational. Now it's factional. Now we can, we don't have to tell people this is going to happen. Like, it happened. And again, like, I appreciate, let's make an invocation. Like, yes, let's make it happen again and again and again, because it's an unbelievable thing. We had, last week was kind of one of these amazing things, because I am a sports nut. I'm like a delusional optimist, and we get off in NBA finals where we are literally the global commercial, for television. The Deer District and the Milwaukee Bucks and our city just couldn't look better. And then we wait a month later, and the Ryder Cup is another unbelievable commercial for what our state is, and to create a global event, and what can sports do for us as a community in such a big way. So, incredibly, I was delusionally optimistic 7 years ago when people were telling me that you're a fast-talking New York sales guy. What the hell are you doing here in Milwaukee? But I think I'm more optimistic now at what the possibilities are, because we've kind of grounded ourselves and built a foundation to really grow from that. The real pressure for us, everybody asks, like, what's next? And what's next is, like, we've got to continue to win. We've got to continue to affect change. and we've got to continue to grow as a business, because we don't shy away from the fact that we are a business. And that's great opportunities. That's great international opportunities. That's great local opportunities. I said, somebody asked me the other day, so what's different? I said, you want to know what's different? We spent 6 or 7 years outbound calling, and if anybody's a salesperson here, you know what prospecting is in a big way. We've got Dave, one of our former chefs, sitting here. We know what our job was. We had to convince people to do it. For the first time ever, a few inbounds calls in interest in buying and partnering with our team. That's like monumental, in a market. And that's kind of like where we need to get this whole city, in the state into a place that people understand what value we have and what can be done here, which is really, really exciting. So I think, I sit here and say, like, everybody asks, so how are you doing? I said, I don't think you do better. Like, how do you do better? We've got a good 9 months till the next NBA Finals. We're world champions until then. Everybody's going to get a ring. We've got a trophy we can take to the War Memorial in the morning, like when you feel like it. I think it's like one of those great moments in a really big world, and that's what's really fun. So I wanted to throw up on you. Our story is awesome. I'm going to continue to kind of smile for the next 9 months, even through some tough things. And I'm happy to take anybody's question about anything, even though it's being streamed. We have no press members, so I'm sure the any questions I do not like, I will deflect to Larry O'Brien, who is not talkative, is very attractive, but does not talk much. Any questions in the back? What is the hardest lesson I've learned in Milwaukee? So that's a great question. I think the hardest lesson is just, for me personally and professionally as a new member of a community, it's how do you build trust? And trust takes time, and trust takes talking the talk and walking the walk and building relationships and kind of relentlessness in like a big way. I mean, the big difference where I grew up in New York City is I would sit and have business meetings or talk to people and I'd never see that person again, ever. Here we see each other at breakfast every few weeks in non-pandemic times. We bump into each other. We're all working along. So I think, the importance of community, the importance of buy-in. This was a monumental, public-private venture, to rethink and build a neighborhood like the Deer District, to fund the Fiserv Forum. And I'm someone who's so impulsive and so like, let's do this yesterday. Let's get it done. So kind of, I guess, having the patience to forge, substantive relationships and really kind of build trust was a big lesson learned, and to shut my mouth every once in a while. Yeah.
This club had a 108-year streak that ends today. What are the Bucks going to do to keep their streak going? Change it up in what ways?
So the question is, this club's had 108 years of a streak that ended today. How do we continue the momentum and much like the Bucks? The Bucks, I think we try to keep it very simple, and we do it every day. And we insist on all of our managers having one-on-one meetings with the people they manage and coach. We insist on performance metrics, on the way people are evaluated. We look at numbers as well as qualitative things when we do it, but it all sums up to one thing: it's constant improvement. So when you're a Rotarian and you're thinking about what's the next venture and how you can affect change and how do we organize and how do we do things more efficiently, that's what we think of like as an organization, whether it's on the team in the court or whether it's in our business, is there's always room for improvement. We always debrief. We always think of ways to do it. If it's a big success, like a naming rights deal to an arena, we might take a couple weeks till we talk about it and celebrate a little bit. But we even look at things like that and say, what did we learn, and how might we do this differently? And I think that's at least the path we take for growth, is constant improvement and kind of questioning ourselves of, what can we do next, and thinking out of the box.
Speaking of growth, there's still room for growth in the Deer District area, and I understand that you're
Yeah, so the question is about growth in the Deer District and rethinking. So I think the world has changed in a big way over the last, 7, 8 years when we first put down a general plan design with the city of Milwaukee and the county, and we kind of mapped out what we thought a neighborhood would look like, where people live, where people work, where people play. And I think what we had a chance to do kind of during the pandemic and post-pandemic is rethink and pivot. Are we in the same place? What is the residential market? What is the hotel market? Where is entertainment? I mean, for us, we learned a great lesson. We have a viable outside space that might need to accommodate more than 10,000, at certain times. Does that make sense to rethink the way we design kind of the full outdoor space? So for us, we think it's logical kind of stop and pivot and think about that Bradley Center site, think about Block 5, which we call the easternmost block, and think about what are the smartest uses for those as we kind of think about the future, because the world has changed, like especially post pandemic, as we think of uses. So for us, it's kind of the next stage. I mean, we're eager to develop and kind of the truth is the success of that Deer District is not on event days. It's getting people to live there. It's getting people to work there. It's density and like creating volume during non-event days, so it's a real neighborhood. So that's kind of how we're going about that. How does Giannis compare to Pistol Pete and Shaquille O'Neal? Completely different, but the same. Here are elite superstars that are very different in it. I think if you took Shaq, probably isn't one of these guys that gets patted on the back for hard work and what he's done, but he was an elite pro for a long time, and that's a hard work. Pete Maravich was like one of like the most skilled players who ever played, who probably practiced maybe on par, with Giannis. I think, I'm so biased, and I'm not. Did you grow up in Louisiana? Like, what's your? Yeah, I figured that's usually the Pistol Pete Shaq association. But you talk about the success of the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, look at our leader. This is 26-year-old person who only cares about his family, his team, and improvement, who really is to the core a great person, who is the funniest guy you'd want to hang out with, who is a great dad, who is built like a family and a life in Milwaukee and is proud about it and loves it. We hit the jackpot. Like when you talk about how to follow a lead and how to follow a work ethic and how important leadership is and set by example. I mean, how do you get better than Giannis? And then great people attract great people. Look at Chris. Look at Drew. Like these are to the core like great people, better people than they are basketball players, and they're like all-star basketball players. So it's kind of an incredible thing. But I think pro basketball is challenging, and you take elite superstars, and they are different human beings. Like they are at a whole different level. And Giannis has proven that. Giannis has taken Milwaukee and had the Giannis effect and put an accelerant on our brand, our awareness, our social media is in the top 3 in the NBA. By the way, that's like with cities like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago. Pretty incredible. I think we had. Yep. I think the same strategy goes for what our biggest challenge is to continue to find in contributing to charitable outreach and getting engaged in the community is kind of where we can attach ourselves and be a strategic partner for growth, not just money, not just capital, but how can we use our platform to help some of these philanthropic and charitable organizations to kind of grow on par and have that vision. So I think as we grow, our strategy's evolving, our lessons learned are evolving, and we can take that and bring that to the charity sector and really think about how do we think differently about the way we can grow our effect in charity. So I think we think about that all the time. I mean, I always laugh. If you told me 7 years ago that my brain and my heart would be a large percentage of it would be in the community of Milwaukee and affecting change and social justice. If you knew me 7 years ago, you'd say you're out of your mind. And that's been kind of one of the most incredible effects of this job over the last few years.
So if a family leaves Nigeria, goes to Greece, lived there illegally for some time, discriminated against, a bunch of brothers find a sport called basketball. You see the cohesion between those boys. They all come here to Milwaukee to win a championship. How do you use that to inspire a bunch of children that seem to have no hope? How did you take that recipe and let them know that you can follow that path to success?
How do you take the Giannis story and make it relevant to kids in Milwaukee? And I think you almost answered the question with the question. It happened. It's real. It sounds like, Giannis's life is a Disney movie, but it's not. It is real, and it's perseverance and it's relentlessness. It's parents who really had the vision of how do we affect change in the next generation. So part of that is like the strength of our players. How do we get out there and really kind of tell that story? Because it's a real narrative. We don't have to make it up. So I think the more opportunity we have to tell the Giannis story, to get Giannis out there, to get some of our other players out there, to just say like the opportunity exists, and that's another big way, the question about community. And Jody, the big opportunity for a lot of kids who don't have the privilege of exposure to things is how can we as an NBA team expose tens of hundreds of thousands of youngsters to what are opportunities in business, in basketball, and give them hope. And Giannis gives millions of people hope, which is kind of incredible.
It's kind of a logistics question. Playoff tickets were nearly impossible to get.
Yes!
And the night before a Tuesday evening game, the Brewers were scheduled to play Tuesday night. They moved their game to the afternoon and played. That night, the Brewers were down at the Fiserv Forum in a suite. Where did you come up with an empty suite like that?
That's a great question. I'll let Larry answer that. I'll answer that question by deflecting completely and answering it a different way. One of the greatest things, which doesn't happen anywhere in the United States, is the Packers, the Brewers, and the Bucks over the last 4 or 5 years have really kind of communicated together and been together. And our players, it really is the special sauce of Wisconsin. Like, it is about community. It is about them rooting for each other. So, not just Yelich, Aaron, and Giannis. Our players are all on social with each other. They're all talking. Our executives are all talking. Our basketball, it's incredible. And I think it could only happen here. So to have these relationships like in real time, to be so happy for the Brewers to be able to march towards a World Series, for the Packers, like success, we're all in it together. We're all doing we're all doing a lot of programs together in the community. And I'll tell you, it's unheralded. Like, no way are there three league sports teams in states like working together like we are. So the answer is like, we'll make anything happen, for our partners at the Brewers or the Packers. Sorry. What are other things we're envisioning for the Bucks and the NBA? Well, I think a lot of it is kind of like where things are going. So there are great expansions in markets and interesting things happening. Sports betting is and 2-screen and 3-screen experiences like in and out of arena are here, and they're going to happen. We are looking at things of like the rest of the world is, that crypto is real and it's a currency, and how do we accept it and kind of use it and kind of grow with it. And then I think the big opportunity is like, where do we see ourselves extending, globally and internationally? And that's like with our intellectual property and our brand, as well as like physical presence in other countries to, imagine Bucks academies, in Shanghai, and Indonesia. There are just these bigger opportunities that are happening. basketball and NBA basketball is the fastest growing sport. It's the fastest participatory sport. It's the global, it's got an unbelievable global audience. So there are just kind of limitless opportunities of where we see that and kind of where the growth is. But I see a lot of kind of the fan growth and the media growth like outside the United States. All the way back?
I want to comment on the contribution that the Bucks have made to the Milwaukee area. Neighborhood House has a new gym because of that. My question, though, relates to this point on sports pages. The Bucks have nothing to worry about. What do you worry about?
The question is, what do I worry about? Everything, every minute, every day. And I'm paranoid. I'm worried. I think it's the world versus us. I don't know if that's a sane way to think of things, but I manage thinking about, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? I think it's like one of the greatest opportunities kind of my job is to continue to think about it. And maybe it'd be great for my physical health if I worried less, but I think worrying is kind of part of leadership. And I spend a lot of time reading about business and life balance, mental health, emotional health, and everything. And I always kind of laugh saying yeah, I'm not going to tell people I'm worried about everything because then they'll sit there and say you're out of your mind. Where's your mental health? And I was like, it is what it is. You worry about things when you care about things. That's what you do.
Cannot, under any circumstances, compete with the local media market to enlist the kind of support that those franchises get because of their humongous population. We can't change the population of Milwaukee to make a minute on a Bucks telecast the same as a minute in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. So how do the owners maintain viability from season to season, some of which will not include the championship?
So the challenge of being a small market team and being viable through cycles, I think is kind of part of the question. And I think that is the challenge because you are, as a smaller market, you are challenged with you are going to fight for a championship in battle and you will lose a lot of money on how you compete on payroll and how you can compete on luxury tax. And part of that is how do we balance that? How do we figure out what the long term is? And part of that is the owners making a very, kind of outright decision that they're willing to spend beyond our revenues to continue to compete. And that's a big decision. And I think as we recruit and as we become a place, we've learned letting Milwaukee and Wisconsin sell itself. There's no better place to live. This is ease of life. Our players can make the same amount of money that they can here where they can anywhere in the world. And what we've got to do is continue to resource them because it is an arms race. You are recruiting players, you are retaining players every day, and it's about relationships. But for us, we'll have the best facilities, we'll have the best people, we'll have the best resources. We will treat people an incredible way, and they will have an incredible, style of life to be able to really fulfill. And that's kind of the value proposition of what we've learned to sell. I mean, I do it kind of on the recruiting side. Oh, you don't think you're going to come here and work for us? And we want you, I bet you're going to come here and work for us if we want you. I will walk you around Milwaukee. I will drive you around. I will introduce you to the nicest people you've ever met. I will show you a house you can buy, which you couldn't buy in other places if you work there. And I will tell you what it's like to be in a championship culture. And I will tell you what it's like to work your butt off, but to be very appreciated and have fun. And that's the same thing we translate over to the player side in a big way.
Pre-pandemic, Fiserv Forum opens, and we had 5 or 6 huge musical acts. Obviously, pandemic, the brakes have been put on. Not sure when this reopens, but I'm wondering, with the championship now, is the Fiserv Forum more on the map, so to speak, with these acts when they are again doing national tours?
Yeah, so the question is about the entertainment side of the business and where are we? We're in a great place. So, our first year we had about 43 concerts, kind of in a pandemic shortened year. We'll probably, my bet is, have somewhere between 30 and 40 concerts this year and back to back to the real touring concerts and the Harry Styles, and big shows, which is great. So we did in year one of opening what we wanted to do. We wanted to redefine ourselves, put ourselves on the map, and really become a destination for music, which like we were able to do, and knock on wood, we've sustained like through the pandemic. So I think we're in a very good place as Fiserv Forum, as a stop for kind of the music industry and the entertainment industry. So our big goal now is how do we accelerate it back to, my goal is you talk about where's improvement. Like the truth is, we have 365 days. Seems like you could, if you fought, you could be booked 365 days. Our entertainment folks don't like when I say that, but I'm like, it looks like we've got places to go. Yeah, so the question is about social justice, what I've learned personally, what others can learn. Listen, everybody has their own journey. I wish that more leaders were vocal about equality and about fairness and where we are. I do think there's a tremendous amount of growth and places we've got to go to get to an equitable society. Um, I think we have a responsibility. Listen, I've learned a lot. I said when I got to Wisconsin, when you don't live here and you're not here, you think Wisconsin's a purple state. You think it's like it's not a purple state. It's a very red. It's a very blue. Like there's no real mixing of the color of purple. I guess from 30,000 feet it might look purple, but how to navigate that, and how to be very consistent. I think like when you're navigating, very sensitive waters, and you're doing it. The key is to be very, very rational and very consistent and very forward. And I mean, I'll speak from a personal voice. I think we have a lot of leaders in the city, public and private, who make a choice not to speak up, and that's too bad. That's too bad. Like there needs to be change in a lot of things, and change is not going to happen unless leadership steps up and affects change. So I kind of tiptoed around it, but I hope I answered the question a little bit. Bucks jacket can ask as many questions as he wants. Go ahead. So I couldn't tell you how the players feel. We just started camp on Monday. There's certainly an acclimation period towards it, but it's a great question. So the NBA, spends an exorbitant amount of time in kind of checking and rechecking and debriefing kind of where rules are, where the state of the game is, how do we move the games forward. So I think, one of the rules you're talking about is kind of there have been an exorbitant amount of calls of shooting, getting fouled, like while you're, running into somebody and getting foul shots. Yeah, which is terrible. And the league, I think, recognized that in a big way, and I think it will change the game. You won't get shooters leaning in, trying to force fouls, as part of the game, which really isn't part of the game. But I think one of the things that happens in the NBA, which is different than other leagues, is we've got the G League. We've got kind of like our minor league where everything we can use as kind of a petri dish and really test things out and really try things out and look how that goes. So I think like a lot of things that have worked out well, the league has kind of tried and looked at in the G League and kind of brought it back up to the league. And I think Adam Silver is like, you talk about what makes great leadership. Like when something's wrong, change it. And I think those were one of the rules that, didn't make sense from GMs to refs to players. And, it lasted for a couple of years and it changed. So I think it's another one of those like great examples of the NBA kind of stepping up and kind of making changes. So, yes. What gives me hope about the future of our community? I think the people who are engaged and the people who are really vested on a personal and professional level, on a capital level, to get it done. I'm involved in a bunch of charities on boards, and to see like the passion and the individuals like involved. I think we're getting to the point where we're exposing what the real issues are, which is another kind of gotta everybody's got to see the problems, which are real, which are quantitative and qualitative. So I think the more we expose like really what's this scenario we're in and what situation is, it will help us get to kind of a solution. So I see us kind of crawling. I look forward to walking and running, but I do see change like slowly. So personally, that kind of motivates me in a big way. All right.
Peter, the story not necessarily applies but of your district itself. Some of the visuals during the finals, I think, like were pretty cool around the world, right? That's maybe like 10x what we're experiencing with here. What's the story of how you guys were inspired to say, let's put a closet here when, at the time that was not a thing in Milwaukee. Maybe you didn't see very many places. Were there other places you saw that?
Yeah, so the question's about the evolution of the district and the plaza and how we activated. I think that was like as we started to imagine what this can be, and incredibly like acquiring 30 acres of contiguous land. The one model we learned is like arena stadium on an island is a disaster. And that was kind of one of the big evolutions of stadium and arena design. And we went everywhere. We went to St. Louis, we went to Chelsea, we went to Atlanta at the beginning of the building of the Battery to really think about what did it mean to build it, because the arena and kind of the events around it should really be that catalyst, that excitement. What could be cool? What's happening with millennials? What's happening with empty nesters wanting to come back downtown, kind of in a trend, and to live there and wanting to be in a vibrant place? So there was like this. There were trends and that were happening that kind of led us towards it, and then there were great examples that were being built all around the country on big scale. It's LA Live. In the district. On smaller scale, it's Columbus, like what they've done, like around their arena, and really built like a vibrant, like residential, commercial, stuff. So we saw the living proof of like what it meant to build a dynamic neighborhood, and thought we could do it here in Milwaukee. Good. Eve, how are you? Good. So the question is, how do we continue to use our platform to build economic equity and growth, like in minority neighborhoods? I think the answer is like we continue to evolve and understand that on the social justice side, that there's real legislation that's like part of that we can obviously like kind of have an opinion on and help kind of build and push. On the economic side, we're huge believers in access to capital, and how specifically African American women as well as others do not have access to capital when they're building their businesses and entrepreneurship, and how to build that. We have one of the great examples we have on the community side is our program with Secure Futures. I mean, you think about like a community program where I always laugh, our CFO, who isn't who I love dearly, but not the most outwardly dynamic guy in the history of the world, is intimately passionate about Secure Futures, which is simply a program that is so well organized and so well executed among our teams in the city for financial literacy, for coaching, for doing, what are programs like that actually make a difference, at every age group. So we're working with a coalition of Black banks to become syndicates in all the development we do, as well as other developments around the city. So I think there are many facets of like how we continue to kind of inject, some accelerant in the economy, specifically, for minorities and minority-owned businesses in a way. And we think, education, access to capital, and infusion of Black-owned businesses are kind of probably three of the big ways we can help that out.
How important is it for the hop to move beyond the Pfizer?
So the question is about how important it is for the hop to come to and listen. I love the hop. You're talking about someone who manages like a sports and entertainment venue that would love like to literally transport millions of fans from anywhere around the city to go. So I think the more we can have public transportation, to come to a destination, the better it is for the destination. So it's definitely an element we support. We would love the hop to be vibrant and stop right in front of our place and let people off and take them back home when they come in. So that the hop is another, kind of element we'd love. We'd love to think about how do we improve public transportation around the 7 counties to drive people in, and not just for Fiserv Forum, but for the growth of our city. Like we need people coming downtown, to have some fun and to spend some money and to work and to play, and all those modes are very important.
Thank you very much, Peter. And I think your comments on change at our inaugural Rotary Breakfast meeting were especially fitting, as well as the insights into culture and really building our brand as a city and a community here in Milwaukee. So thank you. In honor of leaders like you coming to speak to our club, we will make a donation to the YWCA of Southeastern Wisconsin, whose mission is eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Now I'd like to welcome Jamie back up to the microphone for our drawing.
All right, Peter, I'd ask you to pick 2 cards out here, please. There's also a $100 bill from Bart. I don't see that. Thank you. All right. And our fabulous prizes. Saj is a marketing agent, and Saj knows whenever you have a marketing campaign, you must have sizzle. And what sizzles at breakfast? Bacon. Very good. And anyone who knows Saj knows his favorite things to drink after hours are brown. So, the first winner of Maple Bourbon Bacon is Betsy Johnson. Betsy, this has been kept in a cold pack, so it's sort of safe. And then the second is Whiskey Peppercorn Bacon. And attorney Catherine Lafleur is the winner. I hope you all come back on the first Tuesday in November to find out what that raffle item will be, too.
Thank you, Jamie. So, yeah, we've got Peter from the Bucks in, and we're raffling off bacon. So, surprises, surprises. Couple last reminders. The next Rotary Coffee Connector will be held Thursday, October 14th, 7:30 a.m. at Fiddleheads Coffee in Shorewood. If you're interested, please sign up online or let Aaron in the Rotary office know you're interested. Also, keep an eye out for the next High Rotarian Tour, October 21st at Marathon Machines. Thank you, everybody, for making it out here this morning. And with that, let's go out and do some good in the world and go Bucks. This meeting is adjourned.